Hello, class. I'm just sitting here reflecting upon our discussion this afternoon on Zoom, in which we talked about the four models of evangelism within the latter half of Priscilla Pope Levison's book. But we also talked about large picture, why there are 8 models in her book, and how those are influencing us in ministry currently. As we seek to live out our callings with an ounce or more of evangelism. And part of our discussion, we shared our experiences with evangelism from our past and talked more about, even as we approached this book by Pope Levison, what was our view of evangelism. For me personally, I thought that evangelism was just something that took place when you had revivals, right? That it was a culmination of good planning, having things to draw people in, music, good speakers, and of course following up all that with the decision for people to decide to follow Christ. And that was what I saw evangelism as. Whether it was good or bad, that's what I thought it was. And the same went for Dr. Kenna and Wesley as well. You know, that our view of evangelism was just very narrow. So going into this book where we are given 8 models of evangelism in and of itself, we're already things in our past perhaps are being challenged because our world is being widened to the depth of evangelism and the richness of evangelism. And so we talked more about how and why there are 8 models in her book. And that reasoning is because there's evangelism really happens on a spectrum. And that spectrum is based off of the 5 qualities that are common to all of those models, and those are hospitality, relationship, integrity, message bearing, and church rootedness. And this spectrum that's created with all 5 of these qualities is really meant to show that evangelism can be done in so many different ways, and really whether it has more of integrity or more church rootedness or more relationship, hospitality, message bearing, it is really dependent upon how God has gifted people. And so it's important to understand that in our role as leaders in the church, how can we influence the people around us to see that evangelism is something that God wants them to do? It's not something that's high and lofty. It's not something that is only given to staff persons or pastors of churches, but each and every person has a bit of a responsibility to share Christ with others. And of course, we talk about the transformation of Christ, and that should compel us to share our story with other people. And then our discussion about the 4 models in the last part of the book. I was really surprised, at least just in our discussion, Wesley and I really had very similar approaches to how personal, liturgical, and prophetic models kind of come together and work together to help people in our congregations go and tell the good news to the people around them, and building the church up in that way. So that was just a little bit of our discussion this afternoon, and look forward to hearing from each and every one of you as well. Thanks, and have a good night.